It's a responsibility that you have to do. With the drums, you have the capacity to create a movement.
Joe Biden claims a 9mm bullet hole blows the lung out of the body. So we'll talk just a bit about, well, how much our current president wants to talk about guns and has no idea what they are, what they look like, or how they work. In other news, a Florida 5th grader is arrested for a mass shooting threat just a little while after a student in Slinger made a hoax yelling out that he had a gun. So we'll talk just a bit about these two incidences and what happened there. Let's see. In other news, Taiwan and China, at least 30 China aircraft have entered Taiwanese airspace, so we'll talk just a bit about what's happening with that. And a man is detained after throwing cake at the Mona Lisa. It is going to be all this and more. Welcome to midterm season. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, Edheads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and we have got a moderately full show here today. We've got a few things to go over, talking about President Biden and the fact that he comes out and thinks that the 9mm can blow your lung out. We're going to talk about the school shooting situation. We're going to talk about what happened in my state right after the Uvalde shooting. So we've got a lot to go over here today. We're going to go over it. We're going to talk about it here. And we're even going to talk about some of these people who come out and say, oh, well, all the gun crime, all the guns come from Indiana, because that's apparently a flex. I don't understand where people think that this is the flex that they think that it is. Murder is going to find a way. They'll use a rock if they fucking have to. You can ban and ban and ban and ban, and they will use a rock or a stick if they really want to kill somebody that bad. So it's not the flex that you think it is, but these people think that it's a flex. Before we get started, make sure you go and check out the Daily Ignoramus, the Breakdown with Birkenhoff, the Already Conservative, and the Porch Boys over getting ready to help us set up the Turns of Pages Productions Network. We'll be starting up a website here looking to bring you news and culture from people who are just like you, from people who have had to make the decisions that you've had to make, and not giving you news and culture from people who wear a suit that costs more than your house. The entire project is an independently funded project with help from the viewers, of course. Yeah, we do have the GoFundMe out there if you guys do want to come and help us out in a more personal way. We are looking to get $2,000 set up to go make sure that our web developer gets paid. So go and check that out. gifsendgo.com/turnsofpages101 for turnsofpagesproductions.com. And also, announcement that I made last night that a few people that are going to be here today or who are going to watch this on the replay didn't get to see. But as of last night, we have ended KTZed Redemption. With Katie's new job, it proved to be too much for her to handle. And as she mentioned that, I started to realize that with this show having grown to what it is versus what it was when I started, it's also become a little bit too much to handle for me to do both. So I did a lot of thinking, and I realized the fact that we're not getting the kind of growth off of KTZed Redemption that I had hoped for. Instead, we are getting more growth off of this program. In fact, you guys are bringing more and more people in here every day, and we're also finding new people coming in, just wandering off the Twitch side as well. So I looked at the growth numbers of both the shows, and I realized this is the one to continue on with. And with Monday nights now being open for me, and even a little bit more time freed up throughout the week, I've looked at a couple other projects. I am going to go back and finish out my real estate license, as before mentioned, to help free up some time to focus on the website. I do want to focus on the website a little bit more with some of the time that we freed up, and I even opened up my my novelist-specific word processor, and we might go in and start to revisit some of those projects that I started years and years ago before I started broadcasting. So a few things have opened up in my life, and I do think that this is going to wind up being a positive. But thank you, KTZed, for helping out for the 5 months that you've helped out with me. Thank you to Elaine for helping me out for the year that you helped me out for that. And thank you to all the guests who sat in for Elaine. We didn't really have any that had to sit in for Katie, and then all the guests that we had for Ed's World before that. Having that Monday night stream for the 3 years that I had it was an awesome feeling. And I don't begrudge it for a moment. But now that we've got the real growth coming off this morning program and we're competing with the AM radio folks, I'm going to put some more focus onto this and see if we can't grow our audience over here a little bit more than what we were trying to do on a Monday night. Other thing with that, and you guys can call me in the chat because I do read the chat, even though I don't read it on air, like out loud to you guys. Start to call me on the language, because if we're going to be competing with the AM radio, where people are driving their kids to school and listening to the news, I got to clean up my language a lot. Like, it was cool to come back out and say, hey, yeah, no, you can come over here and watch Contemporary, and I'll say the words, the naughty words that you can't hear anywhere else. But, you know, then I realized, yeah, people are going to be listening to this with kids in the car. I know MK listens around his kids, so we're going to work on that for a little bit. I'm not going to go as far as like what the FCC says, where it's just going to be bleep it out, hit the bleep button, and censor all the clips. The clips that we have coming here are going to be full language clips. So those of you who are listening in the car with the kids, maybe earmuffs every once in a while. But as far as me, yeah, I'm going to make a concerted effort to try and make this a little bit more in the car driving your kids to school friendly, so we can grow and work into that audience too. Because, hey, if you're driving in your car, you're bringing your kids to school, would you rather listen to me on an uninterrupted feed of what the news is for the day, or do you want to sit and stop every 10 minutes and listen to 15 minutes of commercials? I think the choice is clear. You can come over here and choose your platform and choose whether you even want to watch a commercial or not. And those of you over on Twitch, you guys are the champions too, by the way. Thank you again, as always, for watching the commercial, because, I mean, it's a little bit of money, but it does help. Every little bit helps, and it's, what, like a half a penny per commercial? But, you know, 150 followers for everybody who comes over here and watches the commercial. 2 of you brings me a penny, and 100 of you brings me $1, so. And we do this show daily, too. And even our little friends over on the left who like to come over here and jump in and try to derail the stream, they watch the commercial, too. Just so you know. All right, let's get into it. Let's get started. Before we do, let's look at the finance for the day. The Dow went up. Well, the Dow is going to be the same Dow that we saw yesterday. Let's leave it at that. Let's get the live chat up so I can see what you guys are doing here. Let's have a look. So as we looked at yesterday, the Dow is up to 33,212.96, which is where we were looking at for Friday as well. It's looking like the futures have now turned down, which it looked like they were up when we were looking at this yesterday. So we'll talk just a bit about that and what that means. But again, I look at some of this and I do wonder if this isn't a little bit of honk and hey, let's go ahead and make sure that we buy to make sure the 401ks look good, because otherwise the elderly aren't going to go and vote for us. So we'll continue to watch and see where that goes. But I'm sure that there are some government lackeys, BlackRock, that are helping to hold this up right now, and we'll continue to see what happens and where it goes. Looking at the Bitcoin has had an interesting couple of days here, and we looked at it here yesterday, where it had a significant jump throughout the intraday. And it had another significant jump. The Bitcoin is running off the rails right now, which, given what I'm seeing from economic news, is a little surprising, especially with gas being where it is. This is usually your liquid asset that you cash out first if you need to make an emergency fund or an emergency purchase, and especially after a holiday weekend. I'm a little surprised and shocked to see what we have here, but for those of you who are Bitcoin enthusiasts, we're going to run with it because, hey, you bought the dip and you're going to come back out and make a win off of it. So we'll see what happens with that for now and continue to see where that goes. And the gas, after the holiday weekend, looks like we are going on an upswing once again. 407 is your low price leader at the Cenex in Sun Prairie. This is for the Madison area, of course. The Costco is up to 409. The majority of your gas stations are in the 413, 414 range, but we've also got a couple 419s. And 424 in Marshall, which is just south of Madison, is going to be your new high price. So looks like we have a slight uptick coming here after the holiday weekend, with some of the demand being there. We'll continue to watch this and see where the gas prices go, and cross our fingers and hope and pray that it doesn't see $25 a gallon, which I think we're going to have some very, 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 very bad instances before that happens. Let's see what IBD has to say. Coming back in after a day off from trading. Dow futures signal losses for market rally. Should you be aggressive? From Ed Carson. Dow futures and S&P futures fell modestly Tuesday morning, while the Nasdaq lost a fraction after the long holiday weekend. Treasury yields and crude oil prices jumped. The stock market rally became a confirmed uptrend as the major indices snapped long weekly losing streaks. Hey, we're back to the top. Thursday's follow-through day on the Nasdaq was followed up with a further strong gain on Friday. Investors should be taking part in this new market rally, but not jumping in. Dollar Tree, Atcor, Delta, Onsemi, and Microsoft are worth watching. Dollar Tree, Atcor, Onsemi, and Delta Airlines are arguably flashing early entries, though they are definitely on the aggressive side. Investors may want to wait for proper buy points. Microsoft is not actionable. It's a long way from being actionable, but it's a mega cap growth stock that doesn't look horrible. In contrast, Tesla and Nvidia had bigger bounces than Microsoft last week. Both had fallen 50% from record highs. Atcor is on the IBD leaderboard and the watch list, and on the IBD 50. Microsoft is on the IBD long-term leaders. Onsemi was Friday's IBD stock of the day. On the futures, this is where we have the major change from yesterday. Dow futures fell 0.7% versus fair value. The S&P sank 0.5%, and the Nasdaq dipped 0.2%. Exchanges were closed on Monday in observance of Memorial Day. Other bourses around the world were open. The 10-year yield jumped 8 basis points to 2.82%. Crude oil popped 3% to above 118 a barrel. The European Union agreed on a partial ban of Russian crude oil, which should cut 90% of Russian oil imports by year-end. I hate to say it, Europe. I like the fact that you're standing on the principles. But if this shit keeps going on until January, you guys are going to fold. I hate to say that. Because I do want to see you go back and stand on your principles, because I think everybody should stand on their principles. But once your people are coming out there and saying, I am cold, help me. Why can I not get heat to my house? You're going to fold. As you should. The government's first priority should be, and unfortunately it never is, to protect its people. That's what it should be. So we'll continue to see what happens with that and where that goes. A China manufacturing index shows a slower decline in May as Pinko-pox lockdowns begin to ease. The official manufacturing index rose 2.2 points to 49.6, slightly below the break-even 50 economists expected at 49.3. The non-manufacturing index shot up 6.9 points to 47.8, well above views for 46.2. Shanghai will reopen more fully on June 1st and announced a slew of incentives to revive the economy after months of the shutdowns. That includes tax rebates, faster property project approvals. Shanghai will also be the latest regional government to offer new EV subsidies. Chinese stocks rose Tuesday morning, including EV and internet stocks. President Biden will meet with Jerome Powell on Tuesday to discuss the economy. On Monday, Fed Governor Christopher Waller says he favors a half-point rate hike for the next several meetings. And remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Joe Biden and Jerome Powell are going to sit down to discuss the economy. There's some good news. Well, I hope you guys have something solid, because your dollar is going to be worthless. And if they keep fucking around like this, so is your gold. Let's grab one from CNBC. Dow futures fall about 200 points as momentum from last week's rally cools. From Sarah Min. The S&P fell in early Tuesday morning trade as the momentum from a sharp rebound last week appeared to fade. Dow futures shed about 190 points, S&P dipped 0.5%, and the Nasdaq was marginally lower. The market was not open on Monday due to Memorial Day. Tuesday's moves come amid mounting concerns about the rising inflation in the U.S. and around the world could slow down economic growth. In Europe, Eurozone inflation hit a record high for a 7th straight month, surging 8.1% in May. In the U.S., a core personal consumption expenditure price index, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, rose by 4.9% in April from a year ago. It will be difficult to reverse the fire and ice, Morgan Stanley's Mike Wilson wrote. Higher inflation and slower growth are now the consensus view, but that doesn't mean it's fully discounted. The more equity prices rise, the more hawkish the Fed will be. Worries over higher inflation also grew as oil prices jumped following the European Union agreeing to ban most crude imports from Russia. West Texas Intermediate rose about 3% to more than $118 a barrel. Brent crude, the global oil benchmark, rose 1.7% or to more than $123 per barrel. The Dow and the S&P were coming off their best weekly gains, Hong Kong, since November of 2020. The blue chip average closed 6.2% up for the week, ending an 8-week losing streak. The S&P gained 6.5% and the Nasdaq gained 6.8% on the week, ending positive after 7 continual weeks of losses. Solid earnings from the retail sector as well as an inflation report that showed prices could be easing lifted investor sentiment. And now we can go register for the CNBC Financial Advisors Summit. No, but that's what we're seeing coming out of the finance. It'll be interesting to see which direction the Dow goes at this point, and we'll look at that tomorrow and see if it drops off like a stone, if it goes back down below 30,000 throughout the week. I would be interested to see who sells off and who doesn't as we get to this. But with that, let's get into the main news of the day. Actually, before we do that, let's do one more economic one here because I kind of was interested by this. This is an older article, May 8th. But I still wanted to look at this and kind of talk about what what the job markets are looking at here. So Insider wrote this, and I found this actually while we were on air yesterday. Meet the typical Gen Z worker who is quitting their job for a better one, but probably regretting it later. From Hillary Hoffauer. A new generation of workers is in town. Gen Z is now the youngest of the workforce, and as every new generation is wont to do, they're shaking things up. For them, a good working environment is what matters most. A job that is meaningful at a company that makes a difference, aligns with their social views, and offers mental health support. They're demanding all these things in a new, bold fashion, turning flexibility and well-being from workplace perks to workplace norms. The quest for a workplace that respects boundaries and needs baked in Generationally, Lauren Stiller-Reichling, president of Reichling Institute for Strategic Leadership and author of You Raised Us, Now Work With Us, Millennials, Career Success, and Building Strong Workplace Teams, previously told Insider, that will not change with each new generation. This will get stronger. If their job doesn't fulfill those requirements, they have no qualms about quitting for a better one, and that's why the generation is helping to lead the Great Resignation alongside millennials. But many are also experiencing shift shock after starting their new job, realizing that it wasn't what they thought it would be. The typical Gen Zer is entering the workforce on their own terms, demanding the new changes with new sense of boldness not seen in previous generations. By asserting new norms in the workplace, Gen Z is eschewing the ones implemented by millennials before them. They're demanding a better work-life balance, and it's scaring their millennial managers, the New York Times' Emma Goldberg reported last fall. Young 20-somethings are delegating to their boss, asking for mental health days, working less once they've accomplished their task for the day, and setting their own hours, Goldberg wrote. It's a sharp contrast from the overworked, structured days that work-obsessed millennials are accustomed to, really. Work-obsessed millennials? Dude. Let's read on for just a little bit more, and then I'm going to offer my criticism to this, because I think this article is full of shit. Some of it is part of a slow-up, a purposeful shift in slowing down productivity with the aim of better work-life balance. This could be taking unofficial breaks or responding to emails only on select weekdays. That's because they're disillusioned with the current working environment. Some are even taking to social media to reject the notion of work. The pandemic has made many burned out and overworked Americans question their work lives. Gen Z, along with younger millennials, are acting as the voice of these grievances online. On TikTok, they're calling out capitalism for its role taking on their mental health. Dude. This is the problem with socialism and the people who are trying to sell socialism. The big problem with this is the fact that the people who are coming out and calling out capitalism, which is a made-up term, of course, but who are calling this out and saying capitalism is the reason for all the evil, it's the reason for all the demand, for all the productivity, and the fact that they're working us out to death, think that if their socialist overlords come and take over and they get their universal basic income for not having to do anything, they can spend their lives. They'll get to do the job that they want. They can spend their lives doing their stupid slam poetry and making coffee and enjoying their lives with all their needs taken care of. But the problem with a planned economy is that the workforce is planned as well. And many, especially because they're young and able-bodied, I would even go as far as to say most, are going to wind up in the salt mines. They just don't know it yet. They've been promised by Bernie Sanders, by AOC, that if they just put these people into power, they'll never have to worry about anything again. I live in a society where my productivity matters more than my well-being, and so I'm just depressed and anxious all the time, says a user who goes by Rama in the video. I'm smiling, but I'm deeply wounded. I work 3 jobs, and I still feel like I'm not doing enough. On Reddit, they're bolstering the anti-work movement, which embraces a work-free lifestyle, otherwise known as, my parents got divorced and they're both trying to buy my affection. As Insider's Juliana Kaplan reported, the movement looks similar to youth-led movements against work in other countries, especially China, where young people are lying flat by decentering a drive to constantly be more productive and competitive at work, instead find happiness in their own lives and relaxation. Yeah, a couple of you fuckers go wind up in the concentration camp, and that work sentiment is going to go away really quickly. China needs slave labor for its entire thing to go. But this is, first off, this is not new. And as these Gen Zers age and realize, oh shit, I can't move out of my parents' house. My parents have rules for me, which at some point, my peers are going to start to wake up and say, shit, I can't let my kids walk all over me anymore. I can't afford to provide for my wife and my side chick and all my bastard children at the same time. We're gonna have to start putting some rules in here. We're gonna have to start putting some limits in. And if you want any of the stuff that I've just been buying for your affection, then you're gonna have to go out and get a job. And then the Apple product, iPhone generation are gonna look at this and say, "Fuck, what do I do? I can't have the latest iPhone. I can't have the latest status symbol." But the anti-work thing, we're just going to hold out until we get that dream job, that's not new. Especially among millennials who came out in the midst of the Great Recession and tried to get into the workforce and realized that there were not jobs for them. Now, for me, I worked some bad jobs. But the most important thing for me when I was 18 was to not live under anybody else's roof. To live on my own terms. If I had to sacrifice and drive a $500 vehicle, live in a crappy neighborhood, and sweep up behind a deli to make sure that happened, that was the primary focus of my life, to make sure that I did not live under anybody else's roof. But looking in at that and looking at some of my peers, many of whom are living with their parents into their 4th decade, I look at this and I say, wait a second. No, the anti-work thing is just, it's so not new. And they're trying to act like this is this brand new thing. No. In 2008, people my age, which was 24 at the time, were demanding the government go out and pay their bills and staying at home with mommy and daddy. Hell, it wasn't until a few years ago where I started dating girls regularly who weren't living at home with mommy and daddy. All through my 20s, that was the case, and I wasn't robbing the cradle by any stretch of the imagination at that time. It's just people were living with mommy and daddy until 28, 29 years old. So no, this is not a new thing. It's just taken on a new form, and stupid shit like Reddit gives people a little bit more of a voice than they had at the time, but this is not new. Yeah, this language thing is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. All right, from ABC. Biden marks Memorial Day with wreath-laying ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery, from Brittany Gaddy. President Brandon is headed to Arlington National Cemetery on Memorial Day to take part in the traditional wreath-laying at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, along with First Lady Dr. Jill Biden and Vice President Diversity Hire. After laying the wreath in silence, Biden saluted and made the sign of the cross as a bugler played taps, the lonely call floating in the late spring air. He then spoke at Arlington's amphitheater as the nation observes the 154th Memorial Day. Biden reflected on the death of his son, Beau, because that's the son he likes to mention. No word about Hunter, who served as a major in Delaware's Army National Guard and died from brain cancer 7 years ago on the same date. The hurt can be overwhelming, Biden said. But for so many of you, as is with Jill and me, the hurt is wrapped around the knowledge that your loved one was part of something bigger than any of us. They chose a life of purpose, he continued. They had a mission. Above all, they believed in duty. They believed in honor. They believed in their country, and still today, we're free because they were brave. Monday's observance comes after the Biden spent the emotional day Sunday mourning the victims of the school shooting in Uvalde. After arriving from Delaware Monday morning, and not from the White House, Biden and his First Lady held what has become another Memorial Day tradition, a White House breakfast for Gold Star families. When they returned to the White House from Arlington, the Bidens were joined by the families of the fallen in a tree planting ceremony on the White House South Lawn. And I do appreciate things like this, by the way, and I don't want to be the one who constantly calls out and says that everything that Biden ever does is wrong. In spite of the fact that many of the soldiers that are at Arlington were buried there for wars of profiteering from government officials like Biden, that doesn't change the fact that these people went in with the dream to serve their country, to serve the people of the country, and gave their lives to do so. Many of these people in these militaries, well, first off, they were lied to, but we'll leave the government, the commentary out of this. They did go in and write a blank check, up to and including their lives, to the government. Use me as you see fit to help defend the people of America was what a lot of them went into the military thinking. Now again, we could sit there and have the conversation forever. We can sit and have this conversation about what the wars actually meant, but the fact that Biden himself is still holding this out here and honoring these people, I'm happy enough to see that at least. So, half a point in the positive for Mr. Biden and what he's done there. And that's what we see coming off of that. Looking in at CBS News, Biden honors fallen service members in Memorial Day address at Arlington National Cemetery, saying they chose a life of purpose. From Catherine Watson. President Brandon, Vice President Diversity Hire, and their spouses, and Defense Counsel Lloyd Austin honored America's service members who gave their lives at Arlington on Memorial Day. Monday marked the 7th anniversary of the death of Mr. Biden's son, Beau, a veteran and former federal prosecutor who lost his battle with cancer in 2015. The President and First Lady began their day at St. Joseph at the Brandywine in Wilmington, where Beau is buried. At Arlington, the President laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, as is tradition. Today, we renew our sacred vow. It's a simple vow. To remember, Mr. Biden said. Memorial Day, it's always a day where pain and pride are mixed together. We all know it, sitting here. Jill and I know it. Today is the day our son died. Is Beau Jill's son? Because I don't think she is. I could be wrong. Folks, for those who have lost a loved one in the service of the country, if your loved one is missing or unaccounted for, I know the ceremonies reopen that black hole in the center of your chest and just pulls you in and suffocates you. Dude, Beau didn't die in combat as much as they try to retcon and say that he did. Beau died of brain cancer in his sleep, if I remember correctly. Mr. Biden said he knows the lives of families who lost loved ones will never be the same, and acknowledged the 7,054 service members who lost their lives in the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. The wars that you voted for. Mr. Biden. Days like this, bring back before your eyes their smile and laugh, the president said. The last conversation you had. Each of you know it. The hurt can be overwhelming. But for so many of you, as is with Jill and me, the hurt is wrapped around the knowledge that your loved one was part of something bigger. Bigger than any of us. They chose a life of purpose. So, again, to the people who gave their lives to this, thank you for your service. And a happy Memorial Day to those. I know I didn't say it yesterday, but a full happy Memorial Day, both for the soldiers who did fight for our freedom, who did fight to go help our allies in World War II, and yes, even those who fought in the wars for profiteering under the promise that they were trying to extend democracy around the world. Thank you to all of them who came in to serve our country. I know that I did not go, but I do have a deep appreciation for the people who did. All right, now let's get into the fun stuff. From ABC Denver, President Biden and state leaders want Robb Elementary demolished. Okay. Columbine is still standing. Parkland is still standing. Jonesboro is still standing. Why this one? I suddenly have a lot more questions about what happened with Uvalde. Sandy Hook is still standing. Why this one? This is so weird. And one of the things that really bothers me about this is the fact that there's so much about this that's obvious, or seemingly obvious. And I do think that part of the aim of what we're trying to do here is get people to stop talking about Sussman and the trial that went on there, and talk more about what happened in Uvalde and argue about gun control. Have you noticed that disappeared completely out of the news cycle as soon as this happened? But if we do take this at face value, what is the reason for getting rid of the school? Is it like Ben said? Are they trying to destroy evidence? But that opens up my big question of evidence of what? What evidence are we trying to cover up here? What could possibly be in that school that could be damning to the Bidens? That's the confusing part to me. This is from Tatiana Salazar. Several leaders are calling for the destruction of Robb Elementary School in Uvalde after 21 people, mostly students, were shot and killed there. Roland Gutierrez represents Uvalde. He told KSAT in San Antonio that he spoke with President Biden, who reportedly said the federal government is looking at razing the school and building a new one. Why? I will remind you that Sandy Hook is still standing. Joaquin Castro, who represents nearby San Antonio, also called for the elementary school to be torn down. He tweeted, "No child should have to return to the scene of this." Castro has vowed to work with the state and local and federal leaders to destroy the school and get funding to build a new one before students return in the fall. The sites of other mass shootings have been destroyed, including Sandy Hook. Wait, is Sandy Hook, was that destroyed? I thought that was still standing. I gotta fact check myself in real time. No, I guess I was wrong. I was wrong on that. That is not still standing. They pushed that one down. Okay. I take back what I said. The school was torn down and replaced by a new building on the same property. I don't know, dude. I have questions about this, though, still. Even with Sandy Hook being torn down, I have questions about this one. A lot of this does not make sense. And yes, as was asked, what evidence are they hiding? And, well, honestly, my next question is, what evidence are they hiding at Sandy Hook? What did they not want to come out? More President Biden news. Biden goes on anti-gun tirade, suggests there's no rational basis for 9mm pistols. This was fun. President Brandon ranted against ownership of what he called high-caliber weapons on Monday, appearing to suggest that there should be restrictions on the most popular handgun in America, the 9mm pistol, and repeating a previously debunked claim that the Second Amendment prohibits ownership of cannons. Speaking to reporters outside the White House after returning to Washington from a weekend that included a visit to the site of last week's mass shooting in Texas, Biden recounted a visit to a trauma hospital in New York, where he said doctors showed him x-rays of gunshot wounds caused by various firearms. They said a .22 caliber bullet will lodge in the lung, and we can probably get it out. May be able to get it and save the life, Biden said. Good luck. A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body. Dude, what powder load do you have in that fucking thing? And asking for a friend, but where can I get one? Where can I get a box of that shit? I'm sorry, where can my friend get a box of that shit? The language, there it is again. So the idea of these high caliber weapons is there's simply no rational basis for it in terms of thinking about self-protection, hunting, the president went on. Later in his remarks, Biden appeared to rule out the possibility of taking a major executive action on guns, saying, I can't dictate this stuff. I can do the things I've done, and any executive action I can take, I'll continue to take. But I can't outlaw a weapon. I can't change the background checks. I can't do that. You're right, you can't. And even the ones that we have are unconstitutional. Some more of this, which this one comes with video. Biden claims a 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body and people couldn't own cannons. Let's listen.
A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body. So the idea of these high caliber weapons is there's simply no rational basis for it in terms of about self-protection, hunting. I guess.
Again, what is the powder charge in those things, and where can a friend get one of those? Shelby Talcott, the White House correspondent, the Daily Caller, noted that Biden had been talking about rational gun laws and appeared to suggest a 9mm was a high-caliber weapon that should be potentially banned. Saying that he had consulted experts, Biden claimed that 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body and added, there's simply no rational basis for it in terms of self-protection and hunting. It was never about AR-15s or assault rifles, it's about convincing you to give up your inalienable right to defend yourself, James Lindsay tweeted. So they're ditching the whole assault weapon shtick and this time coming straight for 9mm handguns, Newsweek's Josh Hammer added. Dario Morrow agreed, saying, and this is why people don't support gun control. It never stops at the AR-15. It never. The President of the United States is talking about going after 9mm handguns, the most popular home defense weapon in America. This has never been about doing something to protect kids. Biden continues with a second claim, saying the Second Amendment was not meant to be absolute, and repeating, as he has a number of times in the past, the assertion that when the Bill of Rights was written, citizens could not legally own cannons. Citizens can still legally own a cannon. In fact, I might be talking to a guy right now. Here, Fed boy, Fed boy, Fed boy. The Constitution, the Second Amendment, was never absolute. Yeah, the words shall not be infringed is pretty fucking absolute. You couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed. I think that things have gotten so bad that everyone's getting more rational about it. Alright, what else do we have? This same clip? No, this one is slightly extended from what we saw before.
And they showed me a X-ray. He said a .22 caliber bullet will lodge in a lung, and we can probably get it out. May be able to get it and save the life. A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body. So the idea of these high caliber weapons is there's simply no rational basis for it in terms of about self-protection, hunting. And remember, the Constitution, the Second Amendment, was never absolute. And they
shall not be infringed is pretty fucking absolute, dude. There it is again, damn it. Here is the transcript of what he had to say there. Let's just look at some of this here. From the South Lawn. Good morning, Mr. President. Do you feel more motivated to get action on guns now? Well, I'm pretty motivated all along. You know, the folks, the thing who were victimized there and their families, they spent 3 hours and 40 minutes with me. They waited all that time, and some came 2 hours early. But the pain is palpable, and I think a lot of it's necessary. So I'm going to continue to push, and we'll see how this works. Are you going to send long-range rocket systems to Ukraine? We're not going to send to Ukraine rocket systems that can strike into Russia. This is the remark. So you think there's anything different about how Republicans will approach gun reform? Question now, given the circumstances. Since I haven't spoken to them, I don't know. But my guess is I think they're going to take a hard look. Is there one element? Is it aid? Is it red flag? Is there some component that you could think could be successful now? Well, it's hard to say because I've not been negotiating with any of the Republicans yet, and I deliberately did not engage in a debate about that with any Republicans and when we're down consoling the families in Texas. So I don't know what's the most, how far it goes. I know that it makes no sense to be able to purchase that can fire up to 300 rounds. I know what happened when we had rational action before, when the crime bill was the law that got passed to significantly cut down mass murders. I wonder why this clip is not getting out to the mainstream media. Just a little clip where he says, 9mm handgun. And there's only one reason for something that can fire, 100 shots. Where is this magazine? And where can a friend of mine get one? Again, I'm asking for a friend. I mean, and I'll just conclude with this. Look, when I first started doing hearings on the issue of what rational gun laws should be, it was during a period where I was a senator and the death rate was going up. And that goes into the clip that we saw. So that's what led up into that. Funny, of course, that Biden thinks that armaments are okay for the Ukraine, but not for you. What else do we have? This one. So my question here is, can somebody explain this bot response to me here? So we'll go through the thread and we'll read to this, but just the bot response to this makes no sense to me. Nick Adams, who's blue-checked, best-selling author, endorsed by Trump, president of One Flag USA, president appointee, Australian by birth, American by choice, says, major announcement, I'm declaring victory with my boycott of MLB. Woke communist coach Gabe Kapler has announced that he will stand on the field for the national anthem. Boycotts do work. Which that in and of itself, I've already said that I don't do NFL or MLB anymore because when I'm turning my brain off to go and stop thinking about politics for a while, I don't need politics and culture to be infecting the thing that I'm using to turn my brain off. Peter Bentley tweets out, meanwhile in America, children are slain weekly as a direct result of GOP opposition to sensible gun laws. The Seeker rebuts and says, do you think the crooks will not get guns if they're outlawed altogether? Saint says, why do we have laws then if we're worried if the conservatives, crooks will break them? Ellen Marie Maybe says, dude, we have so many guns and so much effing ammo. If we were the problem, you know it. Peter Bentley says, we do know it, Ellen. Did you miss the latest carnage? It is Americans slaughtering Americans, you know. Ellen Marie Maybe says, the problem in Uvalde is coming from people who have mental illnesses. Where are you, by the way, at the end of every weekend when they tallage the damage in Chicago where guns are illegal? Legal gun owners are not the problem. And this is the robot talk point that I need explained to me here. St. Walker says, couple things here. Number one, thank you for the NRA GOP deflection from the gun problem talking point. You missed thoughts and prayers. Fuck you. There it is again. It's a work in progress. And number two, a majority of guns in Chicago come from Indiana, so gun reform does work, as other nations in the world have shown to reduce gun violence. If you have record shootings in Chicago, and people are going to another state to go and get the guns, which is already illegal, at what point are you saying that gun control works? And again, that is assuming the fact that you can even get the guns off the street. And I tweeted later on and I said, majority of the guns coming from Indiana. It's not the flex that you think. If people want to commit a murder, they're going to commit a murder. They will use a rock if they have to. But if somebody wants to kill somebody else, they're going to do it. Legally or illegally. So somebody please explain the spot response to me. Yeah, I'm trying to stop the F word so I have a better chance of competing with the people on the AM radio. The ones who have their kids in their car while they're driving their kids to school in the morning. And listening to 5 minutes of content and 15 minutes of commercials. Alright. We're not going to do this one because we reviewed this one to death, so we'll skip that one. Another good guy with a gun story that you're not going to hear from CNN. Unarmed pregnant woman shot 5 times by cops while fleeing suspected carjacking, reports. And yes, the cops are the only ones that should have the guns. Missouri cops shot a woman 5 times as she tried to flee getting arrested for suspected armed carjacking, even though she had shown that she was unarmed and told them she was pregnant, according to a horrified witness. They shot her. Oh my God, they shot her, a woman repeatedly cried in the footage she filmed in the aftermath of the Friday's officer-involved shooting in Kansas City. What the fuck, she gasped as they filmed. She filmed the shot woman and the ground. Oh my God. They shot her and they're still putting her in handcuffs. Police confirmed to KCTV that Leanna Hale was shot by officers responding to reports of an armed carjacking at 8 p.m. The male driver, who fled the cops when cops pulled him over, and Hale was shot as she also tried to flee Missouri State Highway Patrol, which is investigating the officer-involved shooting. However, it was a witness who filmed it, wrote to Facebook that before turning to run, Hale had put her hands up and was talking to them to show that she didn't have a weapon in hand. The witness, who only gave the name Shadanya, also told the Kansas City Star that Hale only refused to get on the ground because she told cops that she was pregnant. Boy, this is a screwy story. I need to see if there's video of this. Let's see.
Breaking news happening right now at 7th and Prospect in Kansas City. That's where a shooting involving a police officer just happened. And KCTV5's Emily Rittman joins us live now from that scene. Emily, what have you learned at this point?
Carolyn, this is still a developing situation, and we are waiting for our very first update. I can tell you what we see here near 6th and Prospect. You can see officers are gathering not far from a Family Dollar parking lot near 7th and Prospect. And we are told that the shooting call came out around 8 o'clock tonight, and we are still waiting to learn exactly what happened before shots were fired. We have not been told who was shot or the extent of their injuries. A spokesperson for the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department said the Missouri State Highway Patrol will investigate the shooting. We have seen several concerned family members gathering, waiting for information as well, and we will work to learn more details. We are told the Missouri State Highway Patrol should be here shortly to give us our first update on this developing situation. Stay with KCTV5 News for updates both on air and online. Reporting live, Emily Rittman, KCTV5 News.
Emily, thank you for that update.
That's not the video that I was hoping that was going to be. Apparently, the video is not able to be found. Let me see if we can find something else. That's the account. Nope, no video. Lame. We're going to mark this one for later because I'm going to try and find that video. Because I'm a masochist like that. Alright, let's talk about more gun stuff here. Florida man posted pic with rifle. Creepy caption as sick joke, say police. From Greg Wilson. A Florida man was busted Sunday after allegedly posting on social media pictures of himself with guns and the caption, "Hey Siri, directions to nearest school" as part of a sick joke, police said. Yeah, you probably I get the point that you're probably some stupid-ass leftoid who's trying to make a point about American culture. But you probably shouldn't be doing that right now. Corey Anderson was charged with making a written or electronic threat to conduct a mass shooting or act of terrorism after an investigation by Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. The image he posted showed him with a handgun, rifle, and tactical vest. This type of threat is unacceptable, Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister. The man had intentionally instilled fear into our community as a sick joke, but be warned, this is no laughing matter. We will do everything within our power to apprehend and pursue charges on those who make school-based threats, Chronister said. Protecting students is our greatest priority. We take school threats very seriously. If you see something suspicious, please contact us immediately. Police learned of the harebrained stunt when they received a tip. They verified that the image was accessible online, and arrested Anderson at home in Lutz. Police later confirmed that the handgun and rifle were airsoft guns, the sheriff's office said in a statement. Anderson was released on a $7,500 bond. What a moron. What an idiot. Yes, I understand that it was an airsoft gun. That's still an asshole thing to do. And you're lucky a parent in that school district didn't come and take the law into their own hands. Because if that got to me, and I had a kid in that school district, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know that I would hurt the kid, especially if I found out that it was an airsoft gun, but I really think that I'd be out there having a nice long conversation with the boy. So, that's what we see off of that. This one came out of my neck of the woods. This actually popped up last week, and I don't know how it didn't make it on the stack last week. But it's another absolutely stupid story that should have never happened. Slinger school lockdown reported student with gun, a hoax, suspect in custody. from Derica Williams, Madeline O'Neill, and Fox 6 News Digital Team. We might watch some of this as well. Yeah, in fact, let's do that.
Parents are thankful to be reunited with their children tonight after a fake gun threat at Slinger Middle School brought very real fear.
Especially in the wake of the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas Tuesday. Madeline O'Neill live in Slinger tonight, where we're getting some new information from police.
Well, the good news first, no one was hurt. Police say this was just a hoax, but it still led to one student in custody, the middle school here being on lockdown. And even after that lockdown was cleared, a bit of a chaotic afternoon here. There was so much traffic, we had a hard time getting to the school, with law enforcement helping anxious parents get to their children.
Only daughter, and you start to panic.
It's the kind of news that sends your mind racing.
What can you do when you can't do anything?
Taking many parents' thoughts to another small city across the country.
With everything that just happened in Texas, how devastating that is.
While their children were out of reach.
I'm like, my baby's in there. Like, I need to get there.
Even once the lockdown in response to a gun threat was cleared, traffic from all the other parents trying to get to Slinger Middle School made it tough for Melissa Kratz to get to her daughter.
She's real and here and whole in one piece.
Who is having a birthday today. She won't forget.
Then my teacher pulled out her bat, was acting like really serious. And then she told us to get the scissors out. And then I finally realized that like this was not a drill. And I just kind of started panicking.
Slinger police say a student made a comment in a stairwell of the middle school about having a gun that they later learned was false. But it led to a real emergency response.
So this was a big deal.
And real fear.
I thought like a shooter was in the school, and like, because what happened after Texas, I was like, well, why us now?
And being like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to see her.
When parents were finally able to see and hold their children.
You know, when I was walking in,
there was real relief, too.
When I was walking down the road here, I was like, I'm emotional the way it is, but, you know, I was like, wow, you know, if she wasn't there, I don't know what I was going to do.
Parents we spoke with today say they were happy with the school and police response. Now,
So, to break this down, a middle school kid, a 12-year-old, in a hall said, I have a gun. In a joking manner. 2 days after Uvalde. How stupid can you be? I just want people to know that we take it seriously, said Slinger Police Chief Dean Schmidt. The chief said the police and fire department responded immediately to search and secure the area after a student went into a stairwell and claimed they had a gun. Talked to one of those students who admitted that he didn't have a gun, but he did make the comment and realized it was a very foolish thing for him to say, Schmidt said. And now you have a record, dumbass. Chief Schmidt went on to say that this was also a drain on department resources. Yeah, but again, when you're in a situation where the most vulnerable among us are potentially in danger, you do have to respond. Or wait around for an hour outside the school and not go in as people are being fucking slaughtered. Damn it! It's an ongoing thing. We're working on it. Officials did take one student into custody who admitted making the statement. An option moving forward could be doing a juvenile referral and sending it up to the district attorney's office to see what they can do. The investigation is ongoing. So, that is what we saw from that. More recently, Florida 5th grader arrested for mass shooting threat from Allie Griffin. A 5th grade student in Florida was arrested Saturday for threatening to pull off a mass shooting via text messages, police said. The 10-year-old at Patriot Elementary in Cape Coral was handcuffed and walked into a police cruiser Saturday evening for making a written threat to conduct a mass shooting. This student's behavior is sickening, especially after a recent tragedy in Uvalde, Lee County Sheriff Carmine Marceno said in a statement, making sure our children are safe are paramount. The sheriff's office told the school threat enforcement team was tipped off to an alarming message, and the Youth Services Criminal Investigations Division took on the case due to the child's young age. Marceno noted that officers were quick to investigate mass shooting threats. We will have law and order in our schools. My team didn't hesitate 1 second, not 1 second, to investigate this threat. Okay, we get it. You're trying to score political points here. Officers who responded at the Uvalde school shooting claimed the lives of 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers are facing backlash for their delayed response. Police took nearly an hour to breach the classrooms where all the shootings occurred and kill gunman Salvador Ramos. Detectives interviewed the Florida boy, whose name the Post is withholding because he is a minor, and developed probable cause for his arrest, police said. Right now is not the time to act like a little delinquent. It's not funny, Marceno said. The child made a fake threat and now he's experiencing real consequences. So, that is what they have to say with that. The Daily Caller reports, Sheriff Carmine Marceno to school shooters, "We are going to kill you." From David Hookstead. Lee County Sheriff Carmine Marceno didn't miss words when it came to his message to school shooters. In the aftermath of the massacre at Uvalde, people have been discussing different ways to protect children and innocent people, while the Florida lawman knows exactly where his officers will do to a school shooter. There we have video. "We're not waiting 1 second. We're going to kill you because you can't kill evil enough," Marceno said in a video upload to his Twitter account. You can give it a watch below.
"Present deadly physical force at one of our schools. We're not waiting 1 second. We are going to kill you because you can't kill evil enough."
See, some of the problem that I have with this is that we do have a system of due process in this country, and you are, even if they catch you in the act, innocent until proven guilty by a jury of your peers. You can waive the right to trial. And some would argue that coming out and shooting at children is a waiver of your right to trial and your life. I just feel like the defund the police lobby is going to hook onto this and take this the wrong way. And something that, again, is meant in the perfect way to protect our most innocent people. If it wasn't for those jerkwads over on the left, I would think this is a good message. But I know what they're going to do with this. So, something we'll have to watch for and continue to see where they go, because I'm sure they're not going to let that one go. Our neighbors to the north have a response to a killing involving a rifle that we don't like. Canada's Trudeau proposes handgun freeze and new gun control package. From Zach Schoenfield. I hate to tell you this, and I tweeted this yesterday. People in Australia whose government interned their own citizens who refused to take a medical procedure, and people in Canada whose government forced banks to freeze accounts and starve out an actual peaceful protest. "Oh, there were Nazi flags around there. There were people calling nurses whores." No, there weren't. No, there weren't. Because that would have been the front page video on CNN, with video to back it up, if that was actually happening. No, none of that happened. And if it did, it was your people going back and infiltrating it so they can make the front page of CNN. Prime Minister Trudeau announced a move to freeze the sale and transfer of handguns in the country as part of a strict gun control proposal introduced by his government on Monday. The proposal would also create new red flag law, which would allow a court to prohibit someone deemed a threat from owning firearms and allow the government to take away firearms licenses for individuals who commit domestic violence or criminal harassment. "One Canadian killed by gun violence is too many," Trudeau said in a statement. "I've seen all too well the tragic cost that gun violence has in our communities across the country," he said. "Today we're proposing some of the strongest measures in Canadian history to keep guns out of our communities and build a safer future for everybody, eh?" Trudeau's office says a handgun freeze will prevent individuals from bringing newly acquired handguns into the country or from buying, selling, or transferring the firearms. Canada reported 1.1 million registered handguns in 2020, an increase of 71% from 10 years earlier. And unlike in the US, there's no constitutional protection to own firearms in Canada. Trudeau has looked to regulate firearms more strictly for years, but the latest announcement comes less than a week after a mass shooting in Uvalde left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. The shooting reignited the political battle in the United States over gun control proposals. President Brandon on Monday said he can't dictate gun policy, and it was up to Congress to take action beyond what he has done through executive actions, and they can't either. The bipartisan group of senators has begun meeting in attempts to find a common ground on gun reform, focusing on red flag laws, unconstitutional, and background checks, unconstitutional. Senator Chris Murphy, who is leading the Democrats in the negotiation, says he'll know next week whether Republicans are serious about reform. If they pass any reform, I will work through my lawyer and start the lawsuit to bring to the Supreme Court. That is against the Constitution. And any of the rest of you are very much permitted to come back and sign on with me. Following a 2020 mass shooting in Nova Scotia that left 23 dead, Trudeau announced that the country would ban assault-style firearms in Canada. Canada will soon begin a buyback program that Trudeau's office said would offer fair compensation to affected gun owners. Fair compensation? You bring your assault-style weapon in here that we know that you have, because we have a gun registry, and we won't put you in prison. Is that a fair enough conversation? Compensation for you, eh? Bette Midler got in on the action. Anti-gun leftist Bette Midler ripped as massively irresponsible for telling people to come armed to possible NRA convention protest. From Dave Urbanski. Anti-gun leftist entertainer Bette Midler took to Twitter on Wednesday and told people to come armed to a possible protest at the National Rifle Association's convention held in Houston this weekend. Midler's suggestion came on the heels of a mass killing in an elementary school in Uvalde earlier this week that was among a flurry of tweets and replies the far-left actress and singer posted on the social media platform. While the NRA said the convention attendees can carry guns, they cannot be armed inside the General Assembly Hall for Friday's leadership forum, as the former president is scheduled to speak and the Secret Service is in charge at that time. And yes, that was not the NRA's choice to do that. That was not Trump's choice to do that. That was the Secret Service telling them, no, you have to do this, or you're not getting the president. Midler, who's been nothing if not politically and socially outspoken of late, received some backlash for telling people to come armed to a potential protest, especially being an anti-gunner. One commenter remarked, 19 children and 2 adults just died from gun violence yesterday. I hope you're cracking a joke about come armed. At least I hope it's a joke. She's going to get people killed, another user said. Massively irresponsible. No, don't do this. Don't go armed and don't listen to her suggestions to act like it's January 6th and this is the wrong take, another commenter reacted. Oh my gosh, Bet, don't act like a Republican. Another user said, it's so unbecoming. If someone does show up and shoots people at this convention, I hope the police arrest you for this tweet, another commenter told Midler. Calling for more gun violence at the NRA convention doesn't help us to heal over the shootings. You're calling for more innocent people to be victims, another user wrote. This doesn't do anything to get us united. NRA teaches how to use guns properly and store them properly. No, they really don't. So, that's Bette Midler for you. Come armed. Moron. Speaking of that protest, NRA protesters channel their spirit animals.
Where is your gun now?
I hope you guys enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. That's actually the first time I've seen it. I didn't put the sound to it. I've seen the clip floating around before, just to the hippo lady, but I didn't put this, I didn't play the sound video. This is the first time that I was hearing this video with sound, so I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Another one from our friends over at NPR. Canada to cap the market for handguns with new legislation. I'm actually going to skip this one because we talked about this over on another article, but do remember to hit that donate button to make sure that you get the money out for NPR, because NPR needs our money, comrade, to make sure that they can tell you how evil guns are and how you should just trust the government, but not the police because we defund the police, but national police because they're there to protect you. It's an inconsistent narrative, but they don't have enough money to come back and sort it out. That's why they need your donations. Your taxpayer money is not enough for them, so hit that red donate button, and we will move on off of this one, and we'll check in with our friends at NPR a little bit later. Something that came up on the last KTZed Redemption last night from WION. Taiwan-China tensions. At least 30 Chinese aircraft enter Taiwanese airspace. WION video team, no author given. Taiwan claims that China has made the largest incursion since January. At least 30 aircraft enter Taiwan's airspace, and Taiwanese fighters say they scrambled against the Chinese aircraft. Let's listen.
China is the third largest country in the world, but that's not enough. Its bid to take what's not theirs continues. Taiwan claims that China has made the largest incursion since January. This has added to the latest uptick in tensions. At least 30 aircrafts entered Taiwan's airspace, and Taiwanese fighters say they scrambled to warn them away. China sent 22 fighters as well as electronic warfare, early warning and anti-submarine aircrafts. The issue is that this is the biggest challenge that Taiwan faces. But for China, this is not an issue at all. It considers Taiwan as their own territory, so Taipei calls it incursion, and China calls it military drills. Nobody expected a war in the 21st century, but Russia changed that. This is extremely worrying for a region like Taiwan because it faces a constant threat from China, a country with 30 times its military size. So naturally, Taiwan is cozying up with China's rival, United States, and the Joe Biden administration is all in favor. Recently, the U.S. president signaled a change in U.S. policy Biden said that if China decides to attack Taiwan, U.S. will not shy away from sending its own military to defend the self-governed island. This is a huge step which could change geopolitics in the region. It is important to note that Taiwan and U.S. are part of only one military alliance, the Taiwan Relations Act. But that act clearly mentions that Pentagon is not obliged to intervene in cases of an attack or an invasion. This change in stance has obviously angered China, which is why experts say that Beijing has stepped up pressure.
So that's something to watch for. Now they're not talking about this on our media. They're not talking about any of that. In fact, that's going fairly unnoticed by our media. I had to go to this in Al Jazeera to come back out and find that one. And Al Jazeera has a little bit more to say off of this. China makes second largest incursion into Taiwan air defense zone with, because it's Al Jazeera, no author given. China sent 18 warplanes, including fighters and bombers, into Taiwan's air defense zone, prompting the island's air force to scramble jets in response to the second largest incursion so far this year. Taipei's defense ministry said Chinese aircraft crossed into the island air defense zone on Friday, forcing the scrambling of Taiwanese aircraft and the deployment of air defense missile systems to track the Chinese planes. Taiwan, which is claimed by China as its own territory, has complained of repeated such missions by Chinese aircraft, which have become a common occurrence over the past 2 years or so. There was no immediate comment from China's defense ministry. China has described previous incursions as missions to defend the country's sovereignty and to counter Taiwan's collusion with foreign forces, a veiled reference to U.S. support for Taipei. So, are they going to take it? I don't know. Ukraine may be the East Asia of tomorrow. Taiwan lives under the constant threat of invasion by Beijing, which sees the self-ruled democratic island as part of its territory to be retaken one day by force if necessary. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida warned on Thursday that the invasion of Ukraine could be replicated in East Asia if leading powers do not respond as one to Moscow's aggression, saying that peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait must be maintained. I've got friends that keep telling me this is never going to happen and China couldn't do it. I think it's going to happen. I really do. I think it's coming. So we'll continue to watch that region of the world. Let's look at some more foreign news here. America's beef supply is expected to shrink as drought and rising production costs prevent ranchers from growing their herds. Yeah, if you are not picking up at least a can of Spam, but a pack of meat to freeze and not eat every time you go to the store, start doing that. Because it's about to get way more expensive. From Samuel Mangold Lennet. Beef prices are likely to continue rising as U.S.-based cattle ranchers continue to shrink the size of their herds. The move is expected to further constrain the U.S. beef production in the coming months. The Wall Street Journal reported that data from the federal government confirms that rising costs for feed and other expenses are encouraging ranchers to sell calves to feedlots around the country at a faster rate, which leaves fewer cattle available for slaughter. It's expected that this will become more pronounced later this year and into 2023. Persistent drought conditions in the West have decimated grazing pastures, which cause cattle farmers to spend more money on supplemental feed, which presents another major problem for the beef industry, because it's going to get more expensive. By 2023, beef production is expected to decline by 7%, and cattle prices are expected to increase to record highs. These increased costs and shrinking supply pose serious problems for meat packers like Tyson Foods, JBS, and Cargill, and National Beef Packaging Company. It's likely that an increased cost of beef production is already being passed on to consumers the more expensive it is to raise and maintain cows, and as fewer cows are raised for slaughter, the more expensive beef products will eventually cost. Ground beef and chicken prices have already reached an all-time high. Jeannie Alderson, a fourth-generation rancher in Bernie, Montana, said that she sold about 75 aging mother cows from her herd of around 250 in recent months. Typically, Alderson would buy new cows in the spring to replace the ones that she sold off, but she said that it's been too expensive for her to take any more into her herd this year. Alderson indicated that wildfires in the southern portion of Montana are burning up the pastures where her cattle typically feed, and that some of her fellow Montana ranchers have had to spend more money on expensive livestock feeds. These additional expenses are hardships are causing ranchers to reduce the size of their herds. Alderson said it's been really stressful. A lot of ranchers are in deep, deep debt. And if they go into more debt, some people will go out of business in the next few years. So, something to watch for there as we go to the store. And again, I know that they'll label you a domestic terrorist, but if you're watching this program, you're probably already labeled a domestic terrorist. Because I know that I am for putting on this program. So, grab an extra pack of chicken. Or beef. Or a can of Spam. Or a pork product. From the Blaze, again, the top U.S. general suggested there could be a military component to help NATO, if NATO helps Ukraine export grain. From Samuel Mangold Lennet. A top U.S. general recently suggested the U.S. military conduct operations to help Ukraine export grain that's being held up as a result of Russian blockades along the Black Sea coast. General Christopher Cavoli, who has been nominated to the next commander of NATO, told U.S. senators at a hearing on Thursday that he would consider offering military options to allow for grain exports to resume, the Epoch Times reported. When asked what he would do, Cavoli said that if he's to be confirmed, he would provide the military options required by our civilian leaders. He told lawmakers, the president at the hearing, clearly the way we would approach that is it would be a whole-of-government approach, which may or may not include a military component. It is unclear at this time what Cavoli's approach would entail, whether Cavoli would encourage the sending U.S. troops to directly engage with Russian forces or the military being involved with alternative means to ship grains remains to be seen. Well, here's another example of a NATO member whose military is going to be held up, mostly by U.S. contractors and U.S. military, saying, hey, let's go put some troops into the Ukraine. What bad could happen, right? We need that grain, right? Ukraine is one of the world's top exporters of wheat, sunflower oil, and canola oil, and due to Russian forces blockading the Ukrainian port in the Black Sea coast, there's a burgeoning global shortage of these essential supplies. Is there not a truck line that goes into Poland? I'm asking that honestly, I have no idea. The grain shortages that we're expecting from both Russia and Ukrainian production are being unable to come out of the countries in large volumes, or being sanctioned and not being sold, are being felt on the African continent, Cavoli said. About a week ago, an analyst warned that the UN Security Council that the invasion of Ukraine is adding fuel to a fire that was long burning, and that there are only about 10 weeks worth of wheat supplies left across the globe. The analyst, Grow Intelligence CEO Sarah Menker, said, I want to start by explicitly saying that the Ukrainian war did not start the food security crisis. It simply added fuel to a fire that was long burning, a crisis we detected tremors from long before the pinko-pox pandemic exposed the fragility of our supply chains. Another reason, grab a bag of rice, grab a bag of flour now, because it might triple in price. So that's what we see for that. Medical supplies, global shortage of dye used in Connecticut scans, in CT scans, not Connecticut scans, and CT scans causing challenges for Minnesota hospitals. From Rose Schmidt, this is from Fox 9 KMSP out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Hospitals across the globe are facing shortages of a medical dye that's used daily for medical imaging such as CT scans. Pinko pox shutdowns in China earlier this year led to supply chain problems with IV or contrast dye, which is produced in a China factory. American medical societies have been providing guidance to hospitals on ways to conserve the dye. Can we not make it here? Is that impossible? I mean, it's going to suck tomorrow because there's going to need to be the building. It's going to need to be inspected by the FDA. The land's going to need to be purchased. The raw supplies are going to need to be purchased. A supply chain is going to need to be found while diesel fuel is $5 a gallon. So it's not a tomorrow solution, but it's a long-term solution. I'm just spitballing here. We give IV contrast in patients' veins to enhance specific organ of interest that we're looking at. It could be for a bleeding inside the body or a stroke or an infection, or in my case, we look for a blockage of arteries of the heart. Said Dr. Sharath Sobramian, a cardiologist at Central Care. To look for artery blockages, the best way to do this is contrast, and there's no alternative for that. A spokesperson for the Minnesota Hospital Association said, in part, the shortage is presenting a challenge for our hospitals and health systems, and they're working hard, like with any other pharmaceutical shortage, to put in plans to serve the patients. Is there not a place here that we can make that? A spokesperson for the Minnesota Hospital Association said, in part, the shortage is presenting a challenge. Oh, we read that already. Sobramian said, due to the global shortage of the dye, the hospital has been exploring other options, such as conducting a different type of scan, conducting a scan without using the dye, or using less of the dye. Fox 9 also checked in with other Minnesota hospitals. Mayo Clinic and Alena Health both told Fox 9 they're aware of the shortage and they're conserving IV contrast dye. So, something to watch. Massive fire in Wadena. I know that area. All right, we got just a few more here to do, and then we'll do Twitter trending and head out of here for the day. From the Daily Wire, new details emerge from incident that led to the arrest of Pelosi's husband. From Ryan Saavedra. The arrest of Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, followed a late-night car crash, according to police. Paul Pelosi was charged with driving under the influence on Sunday morning. At the time, the speaker's husband was driving a 2021 Porsche. We pay these people way too much money. Into an intersection near the town of Yountville and was hit by a 2014 Jeep. The Associated Press reported no injuries were reported, and the 48-year-old driver of the Jeep was not arrested. Paul and Nancy own an estate in Napa Valley on Zinfandel Lane, which is valued at well north of $5 million and has a vineyard that nets the couple $5,000 to $15,000 in grape sales per year. Nancy was in Rhode Island on Sunday giving a commencement speech at Brown University. Pelosi's office responded to the news by saying that she would not be commenting. The speaker will not be commenting on this private matter, which occurred while she was on the East Coast, Drew Hamill said in a statement. Paul's arrest generated a wide range of responses online, including from lawmakers. This Memorial Day weekend, remember not to drink and drive, Boebert tweeted. Save a life, call an Uber, at Speaker Pelosi. Democrat strategist Peter Dowell responded, the DUI is bad, but Pelosi's family insider trading is even worse. Harmeet Dillon says, thank God no one was hurt. Hope he gets some help for his problem. Jesse Kelly, always blows me away when this happens to rich people. Dude is worth over $100 million. Bro, hire a driver. My word. Cernovich, the body metabolizes alcohol as you get older. I know a guy who got a DUI in the 70s. He only had 2 glasses of wine at dinner, but those machines say what they say. Keep this in mind as we get older. 1 glass might even trigger those machines. Gasparino says, with all the money these people make trading stocks, you'd think they could afford an Uber. Levine says DUI is far more dangerous than parading on the Capitol grounds. Paul Pelosi could have killed somebody. They better throw the book at him. Jason rants, as long as there's no special treatment, I'm not sure it's news. The husband of Pelosi got a DUI. And Chad Prather, Nancy Pelosi's husband, arrested for DUI. If she was your wife, you'd be drinking and trying to get away too. Well, they didn't give us any new details. I was promised new details, so maybe I have to join the Daily Wire. Join the Daily Wire, gang. Go ahead, join. Access to all access members, pass, etc., etc. Come on in. Buy your Birch Gold. Join our website. It keeps us afloat. Are you guys ready to get the jab yet? The holy jab? Novavax hopes that FDA go-ahead will boost lagging U.S. vaccinations. Dude, I'm pretty sure that everybody who wants this stupid thing has it by now. From Nathaniel Weeksel. Federal regulators appear poised to finally authorize a pinko-pox vaccine from Novavax in the coming weeks, a move the company hopes can help improve the lagging U.S. vaccination effort. By winning over even a small number of eligible people who haven't yet been vaccinated could be a difficult task. It's not clear how much success the company will find. Even as the infections rise, much of the U.S. has moved on from thinking about the pandemic, and demand for vaccines has waned considerably. There's a lot of potential benefits to having the additional vaccine in the arsenal, but the circumstances of the pandemic have changed significantly, said Josh McCowd, Associate Director for the Global Health Policy at the Kaiser Family Foundation. Across the U.S., restaurants were packed with people, and many Americans have given up on wearing masks, even on public transit or airplanes. The vaccination rate has also not changed significantly in recent weeks. Although about 77% of adults have received 2 doses of an mRNA shot, only about 50% have received a single booster, and only about 20% of those eligible have received a second booster shot. I'm still pure-blooded, so... John Trezino, Novavax's chief commercial officer, said he doesn't see an issue with waning demand. He wants to give people a different option, especially since the government is limiting the use of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. There are a substantial number of people who are not yet vaccinated, and I think it's important to make sure that this is an option made available to them. I think we'll see an uptake in those who have either been vaccine hesitant or have a preference for something other than mRNA vaccines, Trezino told reporters during a media briefing. Novavax relies on more traditional vaccine technology similar to those used to protect against the flu and for routine childhood immunizations against whooping cough and meningitis. The 2-dose vaccine can be stored at normal refrigerator temperatures, making it easier to ship and use. Kaiser's McCowd said he considers it a victory even if Novavax shot convinces just a small minority of the vaccine hesitant. Dude. There has been a vaccine available since November of 2020. Everybody who wants the thing got the thing. I know, because they put the little talismans on their Twitter profile. It'll keep you safe from the miasmas. The vaccine thing is over. It's done. Even the major vaccine people don't put it in their profile anymore. Now it's all the Ukrainian flag. So, Godspeed, but this isn't going to work for you. This disturbing article from the Daily Mail. Make womb for breakfast. Uterus-shaped cereal aims to normalize conversations about periods at the breakfast table. And Timina developed Period Crunch to encourage families to discuss periods. Raspberry-flavored cereal resembles the entire female reproductive system. Swedish company claims conversations about periods are truly not normalized. From Joe Davies, health reporter for Mail Online. A uterus-shaped cereal has been launched with the global goal of putting conversations about periods on the table. Feminine care brand Intiminia developed the raspberry-flavored Period Crunch to encourage families to discuss menstruation more openly at breakfast. Despite being marketed as womb-shaped, the cereal actually resembles the entire female reproductive system. The wheat-based cereal, a PR stunt which won't actually ever go on sale, is dyed red to mimic the color of blood. Intimina claims conversations about periods are truly not normalized and wanted to make it a statement about the issue. Although it won't ever be stuck on supermarket shelves, people can get a free box by contacting the Swedish company. A survey of more than 2,000 people by the company found 48% of girls and women are too embarrassed to talk about their period. Doesn't that image right there just want to make you go grab a great big bowl of Period Crunch? Does it turn the milk red? Like the chocolate cereal does, turning the milk brown? Yummy! Don't you want to run out and call the Swedish company and get a box of that? Previous research has shown stigma around that time of the month can cause boys to mock girls at school, while nearly half of women say they've been period shamed. The cereal campaign comes after Spain last week became the first European country to propose paid, unlimited menstrual leave for women in pain. In Tamina's Daniela Zagar says, periods are normal, and talking about periods should be normal. But because of the ongoing stigma around menstruation, period conversations remain difficult and embarrassing for people, even with loved ones. There's no more normal and everyday scene than a whole household sitting down together at the kitchen table and talking over a meal. And if period conversations were truly normalized, then they wouldn't be off the table, or off any table for that matter. Period Crunch's box is illustrated with a diagram of the female reproductive system to help educate children. Aren't you excited to go and get this? To run out and grab this? Excuse me. Goodness. I don't have my regular video game music, so this music is putting me to sleep here. From the Daily Wire, Egyptian archaeological team uncovers 2,500-year-old treasure trove of ancient artifacts. From Michael Whitaker. So now, on top of a once-in-a-generation plague, so they say, a spate of CIA planned, FBI planned, totally grassroots gun violence, a sinking economy, and talks of a world war involving Ukraine and Taiwan. Now we want Ramses to come and take over. From Michael Whitaker. An ongoing archaeological mission in Saqqara has discovered 250 painted sarcophagi and 150 bronze statues of Egyptian deities, among numerous other artifacts. The team has been working at Saqqara since 2018 and have already made several significant finds, including 100-year-old tomb of the high priest Wate, by several well-preserved 4,000-year-old tombs, and the funerary temple of Queen Nirit, a consort of King Teti, the first pharaoh of Egypt's 6th dynasty. I'm very proud the discovery was made by Egyptians, and this will not be the last discovery here, Mostafa Waziri, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, said in a statement. These sarcophagi will be transferred to the soon-to-be-opened Grand Egyptian Museum, a boon for government that has long resented having so many of its ancient artifacts in the hands of other nations. There are hopes that the recent discoveries will revitalize the flagging Egyptian tourism industry, which has declined precipitously over the course of the pinko-pox pandemic. The war in Ukraine has also had negative effects on tourism, as visitors from Russia and Ukraine have until recently contributed a sizable share of Egypt's tourists. The Saqqara Necropolis is a UNESCO World Heritage Site about 19 miles outside of Cairo, south of the famous Great Pyramid of Giza, and acted as a massive cemetery for the new kingdom capital, Memphis. The site is also home to the Step Pyramid of Djoser, which sounds mysteriously like Gozer, which means that there could be a marshmallow man walking around, possibly designed by the revered ancient architect Imhotep. We found the statue of Imhotep, Wazari said, when outlining the newest finds from the site, and we hope that we can find this tomb soon. Well, I personally welcome our new mummy overlords. I hope we build an even bigger pyramid now that we have the construction equipment to do so. From our friends over at NPR, a man in a wig was detained after throwing a piece of cake at the Mona Lisa. And remember, they can't tell you how evil it is to throw cake at the Mona Lisa unless you hit that donate button, because your taxpayer dollars are not enough. So, we can see what Rena Torchinsky has to say, but remember, hit that donate button, all of your money, I mean our money, comrade, to help us make sure that we spread the proper communist ideals around the world. Never printing reality, National Progressive Radio. Let's see what NPR has to say about this. A man who seems to have been disguised as an old woman in a wheelchair threw a piece of cake at the Mona Lisa in Paris. Video posted on social media shows security guards at the Louvre escorting the man away Sunday as he spoke in French about the planet. Think of the Earth! There are people who are destroying the Earth! I fought on your grave! Think about it! I'll just tell you, think of the Earth! And that's why I did this! Ha ha ha! He says, according to the Associated Press. Another video showed someone clearing the cake off the glass protecting the Mona Lisa as onlookers held up their phones to film the incident's aftermath. The original Mona Lisa was painted by Da Vinci between 1503 and 1519. The oil painting hangs in the Louvre's largest room, according to the museum's website. This isn't the first time the iconic painting has run into trouble. The protective glass was put up after it was damaged in an acid attack during the 50s. In 1911, the Mona Lisa disappeared from the museum. For more than 2 years, there were no hints on where it could be until someone tried to sell the painting to an Italian art dealer who informed authorities. Yes, there's video.
Il y a des gens qui sont en train de détruire la Terre. Pensez-y. Les artistes, rien vous dit pensez à la Terre. Tous les artistes pensez à la Terre. C'est pour ça que j'ai fait ça. Pensez à la planète. La Terre, pensez à la Terre. Il y a des gens qui sont en train de détruire la Terre. Pensez-y. Les artistes, rien vous dit pensez à la Terre. Tous les artistes pensez à la Terre.
Does anybody speak French? Anybody? Lukey says, maybe this is just nuts to me, but a man dressed as an old lady jumps out of a wheelchair and attempted to smash the bulletproof glass in the Mona Lisa, then proceeds to smear cake on the glass and throws roses everywhere before being tackled by security.
No way! We just No way!
And of course, it's got to be the American in there that's yelling, no way. All right, and the last one. Chilling moment. Woman is found yelling for help inside abandoned Chicago home where she was kidnapped, tied up, and raped. For 5 days, as cops search for suspect who fled the scene moments before. From L-Star Talbot for thedailymail.com. A community activist speaking with neighbors about the need to repair deserted buildings at Chicago's beleaguered South Side was met with a chilling discovery after hearing the desperate cries of a woman coming from one of those very same abandoned homes. Antoine Daubin, 53, was in the right place at the right time on Saturday while canvassing as he heard an unnamed 36-year-old kidnapping victim banging on the abandoned home's window near the 19100 block of Eggleston Avenue in West Pullman. Oof. It's no wonder nobody wants to go and revamp those buildings. They'll get all their equipment stolen. He immediately called for police after hearing the woman's cries. Authorities found the victim chained by her ankles to a bedroom wall inside the home, according to Fox 32. The woman, who remains unidentified for privacy reasons, claimed that she had been trapped inside the brick home for 4 or 5 days and that her abductor had raped her twice. He left me there, handcuffed and chained, she told WGN, adding that she ran into her kidnapper last week while she was running errands at the local store. I ended up bumping into him and he was like, come here for a minute, she said. The male offender, believed to be in his 60s, 5'8", then grabbed the woman who tried to fight him off before dragging her to the vacant house. The woman was taken to Little Company of Mary Hospital in good condition after police escorted her out of the home around 5:30 p.m. I first thought it was the little young girl in there, but later on we found it was a young lady, Daubin said. Yeah, dude, if you're on Eggleman, there's a reason nobody's going down there to revitalize those houses. I won't go there.
Hey, good morning, guys. And a woman told us she was chained up for days inside that vacant house before her cries were heard through boarded up windows. Now police are looking for the man that she said raped her multiple times. Now, we did want to hide the 36-year-old's identity for safety. She told us she believed she had been in the vacant house since last Monday before she was freed. The woman was walking to a neighborhood store when she said she ran into a man who she was familiar with. She told us the man grabbed her and she tried to fight him off, but was eventually taken to a vacant house on the 119th block of South Eggleston in the West Pullman neighborhood. The woman says that the man had her chained up by the ankle and raped her multiple times, and it wasn't until Saturday around 5:30 p.m. when activist Antoine Daubin heard her crying for help and called police. Now police are searching for her abductor.
Thinking that that's a familiar face and of a friend of mine, and to do that to me, I mean, like I just don't want to understand like what would possess somebody to do something like that.
As I got closer, I'm hearing boom, 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 help, and that's what made me call the police.
Now, people in that community said they want to do a sweep through all of the vacant apartments and houses in that area just to make sure that no one else is dealing with what this woman had to deal with last week. Now, of course, we're going to keep you updated as we receive more information on this. For now, we're live outside of police headquarters. I'm Glenn Marshall, WGN News.
Can you please get away?
So, I mean, good for, and apparently she knew the dude too, but good for her that she's able to get out, that hopefully she gets a chance to recover. That's a terrifying thing to go back and do, to have to go through. So, absolutely good that she's out and recovering. And the guy happened to be in the right place at the right time and was able to go and help her out. It's a scary thing. And yes, there is a reason that I won't go into that neighborhood. All right. We're done with news, and the last thing that we do on Tuesday is we look at the Twitter trending and see what our overloads in the mainstream want us to be talking about here. So we will do the top 5 Twitter trends for the day. Looks like we've got some interesting ones for this. We will skip Tuesday Vibe Tuesday thoughts, Tuesday motivations. And look at what's actually trending here. It looks like we actually don't even have any of those here today. So let's look into it. Hashtag Memorial Day. Memorial Day is observed each year on the last Monday of May to honor those who died while serving the U.S. military. Denny Durrani. French caretakers take the sand from the Omaha beach in Normandy and scrub them into the letters, giving them the brown gold coloring. They do this for all 9,386 soldiers who died. France also gave us this land as American soil. That's cool, because that's overseas. I have no idea why I'm still yawning here. That's cool, though. I like that. My weekend was filled with family, good food, and great fun, all complimentary of the men and women who gave all so that we can enjoy the blessings of the simpler things in life. May we never forget. Hashtag Memorial Day. It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived. George Patton. Hashtag Memorial Day. Thank you for that. Larry Elder, my sister-in-law, Tresta, Kirk's wife. Kirk Elder, R.I.P., Vietnam era, Navy. Eric Elder, Kirk's and Tresta's son. My nephew, R.I.P., Navy. Dennis Elder, Kirk, and my brother, R.I.P., Vietnam, Army. Staff Sergeant Randolph Elder, our father, World War II, Marine. Thank you. Elder family. Gray Wolf says, as you go about your activities, please stop and take a moment to remember why we commemorate this day. A penny at the grave means simply that you visited. A nickel indicates that you and the deceased trained at boot camp together. While a dime means you served with him or her in some capacity. A quarter at the grave, you were with the veteran when he or she was killed. Memorial Day. Which, and again, I know a lot of the, especially the later conflicts, I don't believe in with, but still, it's people who have come up and come in with the idea of they do want to go and help the people around the world and this country. So I can disagree with the government, but I have nothing but reverence for the people. All right, next trend. Stranger Things. Never seen Stranger Things. Stranger Things sends Kate Bush's hit Running Up That Hill to #1. I don't know who Kate Bush is either. People don't know Stranger Things equals Montauk Project. Don't know that reference. Stranger Things 11 hits Angela Roller Skate Vivi, Luna Everyday, I Love You. Stranger Things 4x4 has a really good long take scene that's also something of a Hollywood cliche dodge. Actually, this season had a couple of interesting cliche dodges thus far that I enjoyed. Never seen it. No idea. And the last one, the actor that plays Chrissy in Stranger Things plays Val. What the fuck? All Elite Wrestling, DON, is #3 trend for the day. And new, your new AEW World Champion is CM Punk. CM Punk, AEW DON. Out of the all-new AEW World Champions who won the title on their first opportunity, CM Punk had the second longest wait to receive that title match. We've got great Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, CM Punk, and Kenny Omega. And All Ego Ethan Page says, my daughter watching AEW DON replay. Apparently she's not amused. Number 4, the NBA Finals. I know absolutely nothing about this. Game 1, Celtics versus Warriors. NBA Finals presented by YouTube TV. Al Horford's wait is over as the NBA Final moment looms with Celtics. Looks like that is starting today. No, not today. Thursday, June 2nd, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll see what happens with the finals and where this goes. I don't follow NBA, so I know nothing about how this works. Except it looks like there are 7 games. So we'll continue to watch this and see where this goes, because I'm sure they'll be talking about this every Tuesday as we go. And the 5th one, as we saw. A man who faked a disability to get close to the Mona Lisa in a wheelchair stood up and smeared pastry on its glass case on Sunday, according to the Louvre Museum in Paris. The man, who a witness said had dressed as an old lady, was taken into custody. Not the Mona Lisa getting vandalized. Oh my god, I knew DiCaprio rolling in his grave right now. Dude, DiCaprio is alive. As far as I know, unless I missed something. But we did cover this. We talked about this. Oof. Earmuffs, those of you who have kids in there. Ashley, at Ashley Roboto, who is blue checked and I don't know why. She, her, Twitch ambassador, Discord partner, voice actor, artist, confectionery TV, twitch.tv/Ashley Roboto business, Ashley at nani.gg. I don't know who this person is. She sounds woke as hell, but that was a dark one. I can't believe someone cream pied the Mona Lisa. Ooh. And the last one here. Buffy the Nutbuster replying to Pop Bass says, Mona Lisa sitting there like, just smile politely, y'all. We're witnessing mental illness. We are witnessing a lot of mental illness around here. We really are. It may be the end of an empire. It may be the beginning of an empire. I don't know. Did I say DiCaprio? I did say DiCaprio. Because that's what it said. But yeah, Fanning says, could that have been Da Vinci they were talking about? That's possible. There are some uncultured people out there. You know, especially somebody who makes a joke about cream pieing the Mona Lisa. All right, I think we're done. I think it's time for me to head out of here and go find out what fun awaits me going back to work for the day. Do I have outro music? Why don't I have outro music? Did I close my outro music? What is going on here? Apparently I did. So, thanks everybody who came by and chatted in the live chat, came and hung out with us. The new playlist, I kind of like that. That was kind of cool. My other usual go-to ones disappeared. I don't know if I'm going to get copyright pop for this one though. I know it's not going to be a hard pop because I think most of this is just going to be demonetized, or you can't monetize because this is on there. But I mean, it's a cool one. It's not as distracting as some of the video game ones either, but it's definitely one that I enjoy. And if you guys, we'll probably talk about it on Thing I Like this week, especially if you guys like it too. But I'll just give it, it's Future Garage, Cyberworks from Work Music Lab is the channel over there on YouTube. Let me get the live stream up in the live chat for you guys too. If you guys want to go check that out before we do Thing That I Like. Otherwise, I'm going to head out of here for the day. Thanks everybody who came by and chatted with us. And by the way, thank you everybody who stuck with me for the 3 years for the Monday night show in its various iterations. Ed's World, Red Ned Show, Ed's Ed Redemption. Thanks everybody for that. That was a good time. I'm sorry to see it go, but there are some things that I need to take care of, and it might not be gone forever either. It might be back in a different form. We might have a new co-host, but before I do that, I need to put some things in order in my life. So don't despair if that was your favorite show. And hey, we might even go and find a different time slot to see if we can't get some more people who are in there through the end of the show rather than having their family time on a Monday night, getting their kids ready to school and for everything else. So definitely come back and check that out. Otherwise, we'll be back here tomorrow morning for more contemporary, more news and more headlines. Definitely looking forward to that. Guys, go make sure you go check out KTZed on her Twitter, her YouTube channel. Come back and hang out with me tomorrow. We'll talk more about the crazy shit that's happening in the news. We got through the entire bar this morning, so that was good. We will see you here tomorrow, bright and early, for more contemporary. And until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.